Hello and welcome to another edition of the One Team We Agree On. I'm Jillian.
And I'm Kyle. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right now that I'm in the nice, cool air conditioning because today was a hot one.
For sure, yeah. I was out for a golf event for a local Y here and participating and just kind of getting around, networking with some people. And yeah, it was definitely a bearable. So if you're listening to this, hope you guys, everybody out there staying cool and safe and staying hydrated because yeah, that being out there in that heat all day,
Mhm.
it definitely zapped you. But yeah, just kind of Union are back after their week break,
Mhm.
and so we wanted to sit down because even though they were off last week, there's still some news to talk about. Mainly a lot of second team, some academy stuff we're going to discuss today, and then also going to share kind of some of my experience from the Club World Cup that I was at over the last 2 days, two matches, I should say.
Mhm.
And kind of just maybe take a little look and talk a little bit about the upcoming matches this week. So before we get started, what are we wearing today?
I'm wearing a kind of a cream colored shirt that I got last year that says Philadelphia Union. It has the snake on it there. Just it's pretty soft. It's comfy. I got it like on discount last year.
Yeah. And
How about you, Kyle?
I'm wearing Sam's Town Hotel and Gambling Hall from famous Killers album.
Yeah, from Las Vegas.
Yep.
But that is the inspiration for one of my
Uh,
favorite Killers albums.
yes,
That is a no skip album.
that
Sam's
is a
Town.
good album.
Yeah, that is a no skip album. I don't know if I like that one best or Hot Fuss.
If
I
you ever
think I lean towards Sam's Town.
if you ever been to Vegas and you've never been to Sam's Town, you go every now and then.
And they do have
Definitely.
a little display for the Killers
Yeah,
display.
definitely worth it. It's a cool little place to check out, especially the outdoor like at wilderness
Yeah.
atmosphere. There's some
Yeah.
cool stuff there. But
Yeah.
anyway, where can people find us at?
So you can find us at our website, theoneteamweagreeon.com. We have our YouTube channel, as well as we're on social media. We're on Twitter at TOTWAG. We're also on Blue Sky at TOTWAG. We're on Facebook and Instagram at The One Team We Agree On. And individually, we're on Twitter and Instagram and Blue Sky. I'm at silly double underscore Jilly on Twitter and Instagram. And I'm on Blue Sky at Jillian Almany. And Kyle is at um, Coach Almany on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky. Not that you go on Blue Sky much.
Yeah. But so let's get into today's episode. Before we do though, just a quick shout out again. Thank you everybody for your continued support. We even with an off week, we were still putting out some content.
hmm
And yeah, another good week of content out there. So again, thank you guys so much. We've even got some praise from some people and getting to network
Yeah.
with some people
Yeah. Yeah.
at these
Actually,
events.
yeah, I got a lot of articles out recently because I'm a teacher off duty. I have actually
Yeah,
time to do stuff. So I know I put a bunch of articles out there. So about the bicycle building event
yeah.
that
Went down to that,
yeah,
and I have some of my Club World Cup match observations. I
great
did a little,
articles.
yeah, I did a little something different. They are match recaps, but really with these events, and we'll get into it, it's just the atmosphere of these events, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But it's, if you're interested in just reading about my experiences, please check them out. But let's talk a little bit about the U-15's.
Yeah.
We've been talking about the MLS Next playoffs. U-15's were victorious this past week. They defeated Atlanta United 3-0. And Timoni,
Kavala Joby.
yes, Timoni Galvajobi. Even then, I still
Yeah,
butcher it,
okay.
but earned player of the match and for the final with the brace.
Yep, as well as Sam Gallego, he had a goal as well in that.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people talking about Sam. So they both are very impressive players. So if you ever get out to an academy game, definitely check them out. They're fun to watch and excited to see their continued development.
Yeah, so and that was the only one I actually got to watch. I think it was a semifinal. It was supposed to be live streamed, or maybe it was the quarterfinal. It was supposed to be live streamed, but then the weather had other plans, and so it was pushed back. So this was the only match in the MLS Next Cup playoffs that I was able to watch, and it was a good game. The thing was, Atlanta was coming to that having been very stingy on giving up goals, and a lot of people were favoring them, but to their credit, Union, they came out and they were aggressive and they really didn't let up. And it was really great to see these guys at that level. Credit to Ben Moan, the coach for the U-15's,
Yep.
doing a great job with them. And so you got some young up and coming guys and people to keep an eye on. Timoni and also Sam have been called to the U.S. youth national team for the U-15s for the camp before, and some other guys on there to watch as well that have done really well. So,
And really, what stood out to you? Because I didn't see the game, so I kind of want to make this your whole experience. Like, what
mhm.
discussion, what did you see from them that really stood out?
I just thought that they really they they had a lot of great passing. I thought the defense really did a good job. They got the clean sheet there. Um, Lidovic, who was their goalie, um he did a great job. He actually got goalie of like the match or whatever, or
Right.
the of the tournament, something like that.
Wonderful.
So, they we know that they have quite the goalkeeper pipeline there.
Mhm.
Union, the whole goalkeeping is, from Phil Wetton on down, like they're phenomenal. So, um, kudos to them. But I thought that um like Liam Holtzman,
Mhm.
York County guy. Um, I thought he looked pretty good. Another one, um, um, Diop.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was really good. I thought that they really showed a lot of skill. Like I said, the defense was really good at stopping threats that were coming in. And just their awareness. Yeah.
No, I give credit to the academy. You know
Mm-hmm.
what John Shear's putting together there.
100%.
I think John's doing a wonderful job along with the scouting there,
Mm-hmm.
and you really have to credit them. I mean, they're getting some of these kids, they're developing them, and then ideally either they go to college,
Mm-hmm.
maybe they move on to another system eventually. That happens sometimes when you have clogs in the pipeline, so
Yeah.
to speak. Um, or they end up at U2. But the thing that's been really impressive is consistently the Union are getting, and I know some people say, oh, they're the best academy in MLS. I don't know if that's true or not. Everybody has different variables,
Yeah, but I
metric.
think definitely one of the best.
They have quite the reputation, let's
They
put it
do.
that
They
way.
do.
And I think that's a good thing. I mean, Atlanta definitely can make an argument. They had like three out of the four tournaments people in the semis. I mean, that's pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah, and Union's squads went pretty far. The U-16's were knocked out first, but the U-18's went pretty far. Of course, they lost to none other than Real Salt Lake, who had Diego Rocio was on that and scored. Not it wasn't the winning goal because they were already, but he did score like the third and final goal. It was on a PK against them, but go figure.
Yeah.
But you know. They had a good run as well.
Yeah.
And so, it shows a lot of that talent that they have. So that day was a very good day because not only did the U-15s win that day, then Union 2 won later.
No, and that was an interesting match because again, like the last match that you and I covered,
Hmm.
you went down, were talking with Ryan
Hmm.
during the bike event that
Yeah.
you wrote about. And he said because of the break, the mandated break,
Hmm.
the playoffs, obviously with MLS next, that we're thinking, are we gonna see another like four people on bench, kind of like what we
Hmm.
saw in the past? I don't know.
Yeah.
And so, as the match came in, they announced the loss once again. Very thin bench. It was only Stas, Henry Bernstein, who had been playing with the
Yeah, so
U18s,
he had just gotten back.
and and then Oscar, and then Mike Sheraton in goal. But to the Union's credit, once again, in very humid,
It was hot and they were playing on turf.
yeah, in very humid conditions, they ended up winning, and they ended
Three to
up
one.
3-1 after conceding the first goal early on.
Yeah, I want to say it was like the 22nd minute or so they
Yeah,
conceded. So they bounced back, three unanswered goals.
yeah. I mean, a couple thoughts from that. I thought slow start. Maybe it was the heat. Maybe it was, Ryan's talked about the fact that um, Clem's crew too, they'd like to play direct.
Hmm.
So the Union, but that, you get ball bounced in and kind of just bad defensive and shot goes in, beats Pierce Holbrook. I thought early on in the match, Pierce looked a little shaky
Yeah.
still.
Yeah, this was his second start, his second game. And he did look shaky in the beginning.
He did. He looked a little shaky in the beginning. As the match went on, he had a big save late.
He looked a lot better as it went.
So I'm curious to see how his development continues to progress because obviously he's getting new, acclimated with his new
Yeah.
teammates and all that. So really not yet to judge him, but yeah, he has moments where he looks a little shaky, and then he'll have some nice moments. So
Yeah, Ryan, when I asked him about Pierce after his first game, and Pierce really wasn't tested too much. So, but Ryan liked what he was doing so far, and you know, he definitely thinks that he's doing a good job so far and headed in the right direction. But it was nice to see Pierce make some really good saves in that
yeah,
game as he went, and definitely Crew 2 could have had several more goals there. But to their credit, though, Union 2, they bounced back. They get those goals first, and they get that goal from Leandro Soria.
yeah.
Yeah, that was real
It
good.
was good to see Leandro finally kick in.
Yeah.
There's a case in point where, you go training, you see the moves and what he does, but he just never puts it together, whether it's, missing opportunities. But when he actually creates, you can see why the Union were very high in signing him last
Mhm.
year. He shows those flashes. The problem I have with Leandro is it's never consistent enough.
Mhm.
And yeah, but I'm glad to see that Ryan's giving him some opportunities.
Yeah, so I was really happy for that, and it's funny because before he scored, I was saying to you and some friends, I was like, well, said Leandro's kind of snake, but he keeps getting these shots, but I'm like
Yeah.
he's due for a goal, and then it happened. That's I'm like that's twice now because it said Marcus was going to score, and then he did, and then Leandro as well. So I'm putting it out there. It's Mikanya needs the score for the Union. Okay. I'm helping that manifest. Mikanya goal. Mikanya goal. He's one of the few on that lineup that hasn't scored. I think it's like Mikanya and goalkeepers. I want to say, and Bizo, but yeah, if you
Yeah.
can. But anyway, so, but back to this. So you got the goal from Leo, and then you have Sakara with that header in the
That
second
was
half.
really nice.
I thought Gio had a great game. He really has been coming on strong, and he's scored three goals now. In fact, there's several of them that have three goals tied for the team lead. Um, Sal, Stas, Gio, and Eddie now, I believe. So I think that's all of them. But um, I thought Gio was aggressive. I thought he looked really hungry in that game,
Yeah.
and I like that.
Yeah, no, I've been very impressed with Giovanni Sakara. Even going back to last year, I know Kyle Wood was a big fan of his. Um, he plays hard. Maybe sometimes he gets a little too physical. That's where he leaves some cards here and there. But
Yeah.
overall, I've been really happy to see his growth and development. He plays hard in training. He's
Mhm.
probably one of the ones that, he'll get a little chippy with some players, some teammates,
He's a little spicy, and I,
but
I
I,
like that
I
for him.
like that. He plays the game hard. You see the quality there, and I know he's on loan. If he continues to have a great season, who knows what his future will hold here in Philadelphia? Maybe he gets maybe he goes back home, but maybe he continues to maybe make a name for himself and sticks around here in Philly. We'll see.
Yeah, I really have been pleased with how he's been doing, and that's that's been great to see. And then Eddie Davis, um, I was like Eddie Davis the third gets the third goal for his third goal of the season. So good for Eddie. You know, definitely I felt like he needed that, and it was definitely a goal he should score on that one.
Yeah, I mean, again, you'd love to see the goals coming now for Eddie. That's been exciting, after a little slow start.
Hmm.
But again, I go back to sometimes Eddie tries to get a little too cute on his finishing. And it's just like, Eddie, just shoot the ball. All right, just shoot the
Hmm.
ball. Some of his best goals are where he doesn't try to get cute, he just finishes. And
Yeah.
I want to kind of see more of that. I
Yeah.
kind of want to see more of Sal quit
Yeah.
being off sides.
Yeah.
And, again, just they need to both of them. I think when they play together, at times they've gotten better. And we
Hmm.
brought it up early in the season, even asked Richter about them. They try to get selfish. And I get it, score four goal scorers want to score
Yeah.
goals, but I think sometimes the best play you see from those two is when they link up
Yeah.
and they play good and they play as teammates, and then they don't really care who scores a goal.
Yeah, and speaking of unselfish, I know, and Ryan had used the word, like he said, it was very unselfish of Marcus. When Marcus has been paired up, then it's phenomenal. Now, I'm excited to see, what comes from Marcus. Is he going to get more first team time
I
as well?
know.
Which I hope so for him. I think he deserves it. But I think Sal is one that, yeah, it just he hasn't just hasn't been there lately, but just being off sides or just having too heavy of a touch, or whatever, he's getting chances for sure. So hopefully he'll start, getting those in. But
Yeah, my
yeah,
last point is I'm going to talk about is, two games now. You're in third place in MLS Next Pro. You know,
at least two games in hand for the
yeah, I
teams above
mean,
them.
maybe they won't catch Chattanooga and Red Bull, but they're starting to get good. They still only have one loss on the year. But what's been really impressive to me has been the fact that, Richter's been pulling the right strings, knowing who to do what, when, where, why, and how
Mm-hmm.
with these players. You love to see it. And
Yeah,
you really, really want to continue to see that growth and development. He's kind of settling in as a head coach more and more. He's
yeah.
seeing the confidence in his decision making, what he's looking for, and his team's really starting to buy in.
Yeah, I do see that. And, I see them at training and they really do seem to be buying in and he has a good way with them. And you have to remember too that Ryan, yeah, he was just, assistant coach under Jim Curtin with first team, but before that, he coached in the academy and he worked with some of these players when they were down in the academy too.
Right.
He's no stranger to the development side of things.
No, he
So,
has he has a
he,
great repertoire because a lot of
yeah,
times, and sorry to cut you off there, but a lot of times when we ask him questions, he's like, "Yeah, I was with so and so, here and here."
yeah, like Gavin, for instance, he talked about Gavin.
And speaking of Gavin, yeah, Gavin's going away. We did ask, what's the plan there? And we even talked about watching the game. You had Pariano back there, which isn't really ideal. He's more of a defensive midfielder, more of a creator.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you're seeing like Ryan's trying some different things.
Yeah, it was noticeable not having Gavin. Gavin and Ryan said this. Gavin's been so reliable. It's like you put him in there, you know what you're going to get with him.
Yeah,
And so, putting Nick there, it's okay. And I asked Ryan, what is kind of your plan there? And he said he has some options for now, and I think that moving forward, you know, Jordan Griffin will be
yeah.
probably an option. These guys that are academy players you're gonna see more of them over the summer now that they're done with the MLS Next stuff.
Yeah, Jameer, Kellen,
Yeah.
probably see some more Malik. Uh, I'm sorry, Malik. Um, and maybe even we see some William.
Yeah, I would think we'll see him and who knows who else. You might see some more guys, but
Yeah,
I think that they're gonna be fun to watch. They have a lot of games coming up, so people go out and support Union too. They have a lot of games coming up. They're playing on Thursday night at Subaru Park, which hey, there you go. You've got a home game you can go to while the first team is away. Then they're playing a weird Monday 3 p.m. game, which I guess we're gonna try to be at. I don't know. We're coming back from Columbus that day.
Yeah,
It's good.
and I actually have an event that night I have to get to as well, so that might just be you.
Yeah, and
But we're gonna try to get the game.
we'll
If
try.
not, somebody will be covering. We'll be
We'll
covering
watch
that.
it. Well, yeah, I should hopefully be able to watch it either way, but hopefully we'll be there. But yeah, so and they have like a bunch coming up. So they have 4 games in a row at home actually. So everybody get yourself out there. And if you're a season ticket member, you do get a few Union 2 games included. So talk to your ticket rep if that is the case for you. But the tickets are really cheap either way. So get out and support them. They're really fun to watch. They're exciting. I honestly love seeing these guys developing and seeing them come along. We got to see, we were lucky enough to see some of these guys come up through, like seeing Frankie's development. We've been seeing CJ only. I thought CJ had a very good game, by the way. CJ only, I would love to see him get a chance at the first team. He had like the one time he subbed in last season, but we saw Makanya develop. So it's been really cool to see these guys. And you know, get out to the games, people.
Yeah. So yeah. Next topic I want to kind of dive into. Just again, appreciate people for checking out my work with the Club World Cup. I've been to two. Probably gonna get to another one this week, and not sure about the round of 16 in the quarterfinal, just because I know both of those matches where they fall for Philadelphia. I think we have plans. I know we'll be in Columbus for the one. We'll be heading out to Columbus that day, but for the quarterfinal, still might try to get to that one. But anyway, I was down this week, got to see Chelsea versus Flamengo.
Yes, on our anniversary, I allowed it.
Yeah, and then on yesterday I was down to see Wydad and Wydad Casablanca, where they
So we did or why did?
it might be We Did.
I thought I heard people say we did. I don't know.
Okay. Against Juventus.
Yeah, quite
So
the game.
I was hoping to see Tim Weah and Weston McKennie. Now Weston did start and played just the first half and was subbed
Mhm.
off. Tim did not feature in the match. So
Must not.
it's kind of bummed because I had some questions to ask him about US soccer, and they didn't make any of the guys, even Weston, because I had some questions for him in case they made him available.
Hmm.
But neither were available post match. But first, talking about the Flamengo match versus Chelsea, it
Hmm.
was really, really, they had over 50,000 fans. I think it was 51,000 in attendance at that match. It was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Tuesday. I thought
Friday.
Friday, no, yeah, it was, no, was it Friday? It was Friday. Are you sure? Yeah.
It was on our anniversary.
Oh yeah.
That was
Sorry.
Friday.
Wow. Last week was going by.
I know.
But anyway, yeah, last Friday, it was very nice to see, like, we got to see a couple things. First, I thought th going there, I get stuck because I kind of trying to find parking where we go for parking, and I got stuck in the march in for Flamingo, which no complaints. That was impressive to see. I mean, just see all the
Hmm.
passion, all the smoke.
Love for Sons of Ben to be like that.
But just to see that passion and them just all chanting, waiting to get in because the gates hadn't even opened, they were crowding. And then just see the fans of Chelsea, you could tell a lot of them were local or, they had some from England.
Hmm.
But seeing a lot of like the American fans being able to witness them. And then even talking to some of the Flamingo fans, they had a lot of friends from New York and all over as well. So for a lot of these people, it was the first time getting to see for some of them, I should say, it's getting to see their club. Now, the thing that really, really impressed me was as the stadium was filling in, Flamengo fans were in there already. They had their flags up, they were chanting. There wasn't even people on the field yet for warm up, and they're going nuts. And that was really cool just sitting in the press box there listening to them, just having a great time. They were going wild during warm-ups. And then once the match kind of started, um, to be quite honest, like at any time Chelsea kind of touched the ball or did anything, there was a lot of booing,
Mm.
which is kind of a theme. So I would say there was a lot of blue there. There was also a lot of red. It was probably, I would say 60-40
Hmm.
Flamingo, but just, to watch Chelsea goes up 1-0, and then Flamingo comes back and scores three unanswered goals. And just see the reactions,
Hmm.
I mean, when they scored that second, when Chelsea scored, it got really loud. And some of the fans, they were doing some chants to the supporters then for Chelsea, but it wasn't like Flamingo where they just did not stop. And so afterwards, Flamingo wins and just they kept going nuts. After walking out after the press conference, everybody's still out there celebrating. And there's a
Hmm.
Phillies game going about to go
Yeah,
on.
against the Mets.
Yeah, so like everybody's out there celebrating. Um, but that was kind of interesting navigating that traffic both out. But that was cool. And then yesterday, you know, I figured it would be a little smaller crowd,
Hmm.
but we had heard from the wide ad versus Manchester City that we'd seen people that were there at the stadium saying their supporters were phenomenal and
Hmm.
just talking to people. Folks, if you haven't gone, go back and check out my Twitter page. You'll see some of the videos I posted from yesterday. Their fans,
Oh, it's been all over social media. If you've
why
missed
they
this,
were not as big as Flamingo, they were probably the most impressive. Now, getting up to that, and I write about this in my article, is I'm walking, I get there early. They weren't even really, they kind of just
hmm,
started letting people in the press box. I kind of walked around. Now, Juventus was doing a Meet the Legends team event at Xfinity Live. So some people walking in and out, kind of getting ready to head to the stadium, and I was just like, hey, yeah, we're from here, we're from Philly, we're from New Jersey. We're real excited to see like Weston or like their
hmm,
favorite players. We're just excited to see them playing meaningful soccer, right?
yeah,
And then I was walking up, some people you could tell were from Morocco.
yeah,
They come over, and it was really cool to see either they had white dad like kit on,
yeah,
or you saw a lot of Moroccan kits on with the
yeah,
Moroccan flag. It was really cool to see, and I kind of started to talk to them, and like some of them were like, one person even said to me, he's like, I don't actually, we actually follow another club in that league, but we came over just to support them, and it's so
hmm,
cool to see one of the clubs, from
yeah,
Morocco here, and that so it's a country pride to see them go
hmm,
up against the powerhouse. Some people that were fans were like, I'm just so proud we're even here,
yeah,
like it's not the happy to be here, they're just excited to see them go up
yeah.
against the best teams. And you saw that in the match because during the entire match, anytime Juventus had the ball, there was jeering, there was whistling, there was just loud chanting, and the chants were so well organized. They did multivarious chants. Again, they weren't as large as Flamingo, but I would honestly say they were a little bit more fun to watch.
They were wild. Talk about the flares and all that.
Well, let's talk about that first goal. The first goal, when they scored to make it 2 to
Yes.
1, you're like, ooh, this is a game now. And
Hmm.
granted, you're going up against a team that in transfer market, Juventus, is just under 600 million in total team valuation,
Yeah.
compared to a team that is only 18 million
Hmm.
valuation. I mean, proofs in the pudding. I mean, now they had a lot of some of the guys on their team were like maybe played at this big club for like a
Yeah.
cup of coffee. But they were just much older. What was just so impressive when they scored that goal, that place
Yeah.
erupted, and
Yeah.
they got the smoke and flares. I'm
They had
like,
to
oh,
take like a break because it was so close. Like I'm watching on TV and you could like barely see the field.
I was sitting in the press box, and this huge cloud of
Yeah.
smoke kept coming this way. We're like, are we gonna get smoky here in the press box?
Like were the windows closed?
No, they were open.
Oh.
It just kept building, and it dissipated. It never made it this way, but there was like a time for like 10 seconds. I'm like, is that really
I
coming?
mean, that was insane. And like you see the pictures and everything, you see the videos like
Yeah.
I mean, if you haven't seen any of that, you can find it pretty easily on social media, but like wow.
And then after that, Kevin Casey's like
Yeah, shout out Kevin
yeah,
Casey.
he's doing a
He
phenomenal
was
job.
announcing at that, Union's announcer. He's awesome.
He was announcing, he makes this thing like please, no flares or all this. All of a sudden, you see smoke and flares going up, and like,
Oh yeah.
and we're just like, oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. And you know, it was a competitive match. You know,
Hmm.
they really played hard. You could see they played hard until the end. And it's just unfortunate, you know. Juventus scores a goal, and then they get that late PK late in the
Yeah.
stoppage time at the end, and you're kind of like, and even why they had like a chance to make it 2-2 late. There was like two or three chances they had, and it was just like the thing that impressed me though was no matter the score, they kept chanting, the fans kept cheering, they kept jeering and booing when anytime Juventus had it. Now, after the match, I kind of stayed there before I went down the mix zone. Some of the people in the media that had been to the Manchester City versus them match said the fans kind of stuck around a little bit longer in that match and it
Hmm.
kind of dissipated this one. But they were still there, like chanting and cheering on their guys. But um, they were probably my favorite support group, even though I thought the atmosphere for Chelsea and Flamengo was better.
Hmm.
I thought this was probably of the two, I would say give them just a little bit of nod. Maybe it's because of smoke, maybe it's just because of the organization, but they were very impressive. And that goes to the point of this whole thing that we've been watching, the whole Club
Hmm.
World Cup. You can say what you want to about some money grab. Sure. Let's be
Hmm.
honest, it is. But to see this, all these cultures, different teams, like all the Brazilian and Argentine teams playing, South American teams just playing, and the supporter groups like Bufongo and Boca, and just seeing these fans bases of passion. Seeing like Esperanza and some of these other ones that are just, the massive support.
Hmm.
If you're a casual soccer fan, this is something that, and I wrote about this with Margos. If you've never been to a game, somebody says, "Hey, let's go to the Club World Cup." All right, okay. And you see this can help get you hooked into soccer.
And this is
And
a great lead up to the World Cup next year.
it is. And I was very impressed. And having never done anything outside of MLS really,
Hmm.
having the opportunity to cover these games, it's night and day. I mean, it is a well, I would say it's a very organized machine in there at the link, how FIFA is.
Hmm.
Everybody's very friendly. Shout out to Eric and a couple other people that I've met that came up to me that follow the podcast, follow a whole bunch of us, and introduced themselves. Somebody's like, "Yeah, I finally recognized that voice. I thought that was you from The Voice." I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay." But and then also just getting to meet some of the people that follow us
Hmm.
that are also in media that we've never put a face to, and get a chance to just chat. It's a lot different there because they're covering the global game,
Yeah.
and so they're talking global. Where I'm like, this is all new to me, but I'm
Yeah.
sitting here and just listening and learning. So for anybody that says, I did not ask any questions, not because I didn't want to, it's because I'm trying to find like, okay, this is a lot different from, how they dance. And what I found out was a lot of the same questions we ask, they're asking these
Yeah.
in different contexts and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But it was quite interesting. It's a great experience and something I hope to continue to do because that was so far it's been great covering this event. And so again, encourage you to check out some of the articles. But yeah, man, and even leaving last night, you walked around and was walking back to my car. And they're out there, so the White Hat fans are out there dancing and celebrating and all that. You would have thought they won the match. They were
Yeah.
just so happy. And somebody was like, I said something to somebody who was just walking by. I was like, it's like, what'd you think about the match? They're like, this is my son's first soccer match. It was so fun, or something like that. I forget what he said, but they were just very happy. They were like, we'd like to have won, but it was
Yeah.
a fun time,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um,
So, yeah. So,
last thing on the topic today. Sorry about the rant, people there, but it's been a lot of fun. But
yeah, no, that was a great experience for you, Kyle, and I'm glad you were able to do that.
yes. Now let's move on to Union back in action
Yes.
Wednesday,
Yes, they
and then
are.
on Sunday.
Yep. So they have Chicago on Wednesday. They're at Chicago, and then Sunday they're at Columbus, and we're going to be at the Columbus game.
Yes, and then so if you see us there, say hi. But then also the following week, they're on the road for the next three matches, and Cornell has presser today. talked about the start and stop, said he obviously you were on. Any
Yeah.
share any thoughts from that?
Yeah, so I was on Bradley's presser, and first of all, I asked him about the mental side of, they had this congested schedule, and then, having the break, and just, how do they keep rhythm? Because it's, it's tough sometimes. You see them go like on a bye week, and then it's like, oh, they have all this momentum. It's like, sometimes the Union haven't been so good when they've had a break, but um, they did, to their credit, yes, we got Oscar there. They did keep it going. They had, the good match against Charlotte there after they'd had a week off. So, um, it it was good to see that. And he was saying, he was talking about that and how, they had 5 days off and then they had 5 days leading up to the match and just getting into that rhythm. So, it's tough, but um, you know, it's it is what it is. And I also asked him about, and I posted these clips by the way on my Twitter, so you guys can go check it out if you would like to see them. But also I asked about what he thought about Quinn and Danley. They played in the Gold Cup against each other uh last night, and when the USA played Haiti, and I thought Quinn looked fantastic. Quinn had Bradley said that he thought that was Quinn's best performance there with the national team.
Oh, I agree. I mean,
Yeah,
he could have
he was
easily,
so
he
close to
could
eight
have,
goals. That
yeah.
one that he had that like got saved right near the top of the crossbar,
There was
like,
that one. There was
and
the
then
other one. The guy made
yeah.
a great save on
So,
as
I
well.
mean, he was doing a really good job there. Nate didn't feature. I know he had a bit of a rough go at the last time he played, but you know, also, um, but yeah, Danley was good. Uh, he was aggressive. There was one time where there was quit on Danley violence.
Yeah, that was
Either
kind of
violence.
funny. I mean,
Uh-huh.
but I mean,
Yeah.
that's just two teammates getting competitive for
Yeah,
their
no, it's
countries.
just funny
You love to
watching
see
that.
that. You love to see
Yeah.
that.
And another, of course, and while on that topic, Andre has done well with Jamaica, and you have these guys in the national team, that are going to be ways still, but we get Danley back. Um, what I and another thing that Bradley talked about, Ty.
Yeah.
Ty Baribo, when he was on the presser, he said that Ty did make it safely out of Israel to his destination. It was kind of like, he wasn't giving too many details, but he said he'd landed 25 or 30 minutes ago at that point. So that's a relief to hear because, of
Yep.
course, everything escalating there. So glad to hear Ty's out of there. And on the injury front, Mikkel is out for Wednesday, and hopefully he'll be back, by Sunday. But also, he said that Jan is
Still
still
progressing.
progressing, and also Jesus Bueno is trending in the right direction there because he had kind of strained his hammy or something. It was in the last game that he was
Yep.
in. Also, Frankie Westfield has a sprained ankle. I'm not sure what kind of degree of sprain. Hopefully, nothing too major because I've been there doing that with a sprained ankle and it sucks. But
And
hopefully, it's not
and then
too
you
serious.
brought up about
He made
Danley.
it like he was questionable. Yeah.
Yeah, and Danley's probably I would be shocked if Danley plays.
Like, I think at best he'll be on the bench, but
Yeah,
uh, but Bradley said that he was, they're obviously taking into consideration that Danley's in recovery mode from that.
and he's getting back home
He was getting
tonight.
back today as of, yeah.
Yeah, as of this recording, he's getting in.
Yeah.
So,
So that was, and he was asked about the whole Thomas Mueller thing. Um,
do you
and
really want to talk about
I'm
that?
not going into all that, but
But I mean, the
like
way
he
I
basically said that, yeah, he'd be fantastic in that lineup, but you know, but the thing is, like, but he brings a lot, of positive things anyway, just
yeah,
with it. But our take kind of is also that, first of all, he is kind of out of the price range. Like, he's way out of that price range.
and I know Union gets fans get upset, but it's not even the price range;
It's
it's the
just,
financial
yeah.
levers with MLS. Number one, number two, 36 years old. Sure, he would help. He's a fantastic player.
Yeah.
We were watching Bayern, and
Mhm.
as somebody that follows the German national team growing up, like I did, and I've always been a
Mhm.
big fan of Thomas Miller. I would love to see him here, but it doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense. That's the
And
thing.
that's the thing. At this age, I don't think it makes sense. I've seen like I think it was KK said, yeah, you think about the jerseys he would sell, the one of the greatest, if not the greatest player, German player ever. And that's all true. But again, there's so many constraints that, yes, I know Ernst being blunt, kind of the way he says it, kind of.
Yeah.
I read the article, kind of is like, okay, yeah, I get where he was saying. Probably should have just been like, yeah. But at the same time, again, I'm kind of on the thing of like, I just I see with the way this league's trending that it's just
Yeah.
I'm you call me crazy, but I'm just not in
Yeah.
that mode.
It's not a move that, you think the Union typically make there, but
It's not a move that with everything going on, I'd
yeah.
really make unless like he was like a drastic pay cut and
Yeah, yeah, that's
yeah,
the thing.
because that's the thing.
All right.
And
Yeah.
and I think it was just more his group just going around asking,
Yeah. Yeah.
hey, are you interested in Thomas Miller? You are interested in Thomas Miller. Thomas is interested in you. Okay.
Mm.
But anyway, moving on to the game. This is gonna be a tough schedule. For me, Chicago is probably one of my dark horses for the MLS Cup if they make the playoffs.
Really?
Yes, and
Mm.
I was talking to a couple people in the media. We're all agreeing. This is a team that's beaten some teams, very good teams, by multiple goals.
I mean, they destroyed DC, but DC sucks.
But they've also
Hmm.
beaten some really good teams. Now they lost to Nashville 2-0.
Hmm.
They're Jack on high. If they get on a roll, they can beat
Hmm.
any team in MLS, and we've seen it.
Uh-huh. And Union be playing against, assuming he'll be in if he's not
Yeah,
injured or
Chip
something,
Jack.
Jack Elliott.
He's having a good season. I mean, he's changed the pace. He's having a good season.
Hmm.
Um, you would assume their starting goalkeeper's not going to be there because he's still with the national team,
Yeah.
Chris Brady. They still have
Hmm.
Hugo Kuipers. They got a lot of attack. This team can score goals. Now they give up a lot of goals too. But they score, I believe it's the most in the Eastern Conference right now. I think they're at 35.
Yeah.
And the Union all time,
I'm
in
sure those
there.
7 goals against DC didn't hurt.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they didn't, but I mean, you look at their road. They're really good on the road. I think they have six
Hmm.
road wins this year. At home, though, they only have one home win this year.
Yeah.
All time, Union are three wins, five draws, eight losses, with a 22 to 22 goal differential, so zero goal differential. Look, this is going to be a tough match.
Need a better match than last year at Chicago. I think our buddy Todd still has PTSD from that one that he saw in person.
Yeah, I
And we
mean,
all do, I think, from watching that. But hopefully they'll do better.
and then, but yeah, I mean, I would love to see in these next three matches, you at least get 3 points. Try to get 3 points. If you
Mhm.
can get 3 points in two out of the three, great. If you don't, I'm not really going to be too concerned if
Hmm.
I'd like to see him at least get some draws, maybe even like a
Yeah, road
draw.
draws are
Yeah, against
okay.
these three teams, I'll take
But
it. But
yeah. But yeah, like I would
I
like
think the biggest thing for me is let's not rush anybody back. Let's make sure we're healthy. There's plenty of soccer
yeah.
left. We're
Yeah.
only still got 16 games left. So after this road swing, you're still at 13 games left. There's plenty of points to be made up on that table.
Yeah, I would like to see the Union go and get a good result in Columbus.
Mhm.
That'll be interesting, of course. Daniel
That
Gazdag
would be a
again.
big one. See him bounce back.
Mm-hmm.
It's depending
Yeah.
on how Mars goes,
Yeah.
continue that.
And then Nashville. Union have done well in Nashville the last few years. Hopefully that can continue. And let's be honest, the Union need to have a little payback after that horrendous game at home against Nashville. So I want to see the Union really bring it.
These are the three teams that I really, really think that have a legitimate shot of winning MLS Cup. I think Columbus does because I think they're going to get some attacking help come the spring. I mean, come the July window. Sorry, come spring, come July. And I also think Nashville's. I think what BJ's doing with
Hmm.
Hani and Sam Surge, they're just great. But again, you play these games. And I'm not discrediting Union. I mean, Union are fun to watch right now.
Hmm.
They're
They are.
good, and it's team mentality, next man up mentality. So you love to see
Hmm.
that they play hard. And there's, like we've said before, there's a belief top to bottom. So these are gonna be three really
Hmm.
good matches I'm looking forward to watching
Yep. So this should be published, I guess,
tomorrow.
Tuesday morning. I'm gonna be down at training to so we'll see.
Yeah, you're gonna be talking to Ryan,
Yeah, I'm gonna
hopefully.
leave both. first and second teams.
Yeah,
And
so
speaking of Union too, yeah, like I said, they're at home on Thursday at Subaru Park, 7 p.m. So definitely go to that game if you can, or catch it on TV. And yeah, so like I said, and then we got Union on Wednesday, we've got Union 2 on Thursday, and then the Union again on Sunday, and then Union 2 on Monday. We got a whole bunch coming up. So
plus potentially another Club World Cup article coming out at some point on Friday.
yep.
I'm gonna try to get down to that late game. I mean, it's it's Salzburg versus Real Madrid. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a
It's
good.
tough because,
It's a 9 o'clock start.
9 o'clock, and of course, we live like almost,
But man,
yeah,
that's a match to
yeah, from
watch.
Lancaster. But that'd be pretty cool. Well, anyway,
Anyway,
lots of stuff going on.
and I'll have our travel article is coming out tomorrow, and at the time of this, which should be Tuesday, and I should have a match recap, preview, and recap, but preview probably Wednesday morning.
All right.
So anyway, thank you all for tuning in. This has been an all new episode of the One Team We Agree of.
Yeah, make sure to like and subscribe and leave us comments. We love hearing from you. If you're going to the Columbus match, let us know because we'll be there and we're gonna be getting down there on Saturday. So we're gonna be, you know, doing some things out and about, and definitely check Kyle's travel article because there's some good places to go. I like the market that's there, and
It is.
there's a lot of good foods. There's more places I want to try there since I didn't get to try too much because I was all full from the food I got. But definitely looking forward to, so lots of content coming up. But yeah, like and subscribe, and stay in touch with us. And again, thanks for everyone who's been checking out our stuff and saying hi to us and interacting. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. And until next time, I'm Kyle.
I'm Jillian.
We'll see you at the game.